So, the second topic I'm bringing to you today is, do black people adopt and foster children? Now, see, this is a complicated one because if you read the statistics, you would think that black people are not adopting or fostering. However, here's one word I'm going to mention in this video, and I want you to hear it well. Unofficial. Unofficial. Now, have you ever heard of a case of where a black parent has to go to a different country to earn money for their children, but they don't have no one to leave their children with? So what they would do is they will say, well, let me leave them with their grandparents, my parents, you know. So it's the grandparent who raises the child up, you know, raises the child up, takes care of them while the parent is out of the country to earn money to send back. Now, this happened a lot during the Windrush era. My mum also said the same thing to me. Her and her siblings were left back in Barbados when they were children, while my grandparents were here in the UK, you know, working, because they couldn't afford at the time to take their children with them. So what they had to do was they had to leave their children with my great grandparents. And that was just a done thing. My mum says she never questioned it. That was just a done thing in the Caribbean back then. And so it's like, however, I've never had that experience because my parents never had to do that. However, however, if my mum and dad had felt they had no choice to do that, they would have done it. I would have been sent home to, you know, Barbados to live with my grandparents, and nobody would have questioned it because that's just a done thing. And this is what I'm saying. When we talk about black people adopting and fostering, you have to understand sometimes it's unofficial. Sometimes we're taking care of our brothers and sisters' children. Sometimes we're taking care of our grandchildren. And this is why when people say a lot of black children need families, I'm like, a lot of them are already living within families. They may not be nuclear family, and they may not be living with the intermediate family, i.e. with their parents. However, it does not mean that they're not being raised by other black people, you know, other people that they associate with. Now, one of the reasons a lot of this whole issue with social workers has come up is because they've been forcibly taking away people's children to meet demands. Because what they said is, I don't remember when it was, a couple of years ago, they said that they wanted to increase the numbers of children being adopted. What this means is some children whose parents are perfectly fine, yeah, there's no abuse or anything, those same children are being taken away just because they got a little scratch or a broken bone that turns out to be like a condition that the child has that they didn't find out until the first time they broke a bone. These same children are being taken away from their parents. It's like, it's crazy. It really is. And also back in 2011, they did an adoption review, and they said that they plan to focus more on black children in care. So this is another thing. However, despite me saying that black people do adopt unofficially, now I'm going to talk about black children who are actually in the care system. Not just children who've been raised by their grandparents, you know, unofficial adoption. You know, they like, if you go away for a long period of time, if the child is young enough, they're going to start seeing their grandparents as their parents because that's all they know. That's all they will remember, you know. So it says government seeks to change system where black children are 3 times less likely to be adopted than white children. This was done when David Cameron was still in power, as in he was still the Prime Minister of the UK. And I have to say, as much as I disagree with a lot of what David Cameron did, especially with the whole situation where he said he was not going to give reparations to Jamaicans, that he was just going to give them money to build prison system, I have to say him addressing this situation that black children within care do actually need, you know, they need support, they need love, they need shelter, they need to be adopted. Because it's true, even though black people are adopting unofficially, as a whole we are not adopting, you know, we are not adopting enough. I find it highly ironic you would say that you don't want two white gay men to adopt black children, yet you won't even put yourself on the register, you know, on the fostering register. You won't even say, you know what, I want to adopt a child. You won't say these things. And the thing is, if more black people in this country were actually adopting black children, we would not be having these discussions. Because the government and social workers sees it like this. A child is in need. They're 3 times less likely to be adopted compared to white children. However, there is this white couple who wants to adopt them, and they're gonna go to that. They're gonna be the ones to get that child. Now, me personally, I see it like this. Black children, like I said, black children need love, stability, shelter. Yeah, if you understand that Maslow's hierarchy of need, these are all the things they need, right? So why, as a black person or a black couple, whatever, would not want to adopt these children, but yet you want to moan about a white couple who wants to adopt these children? They do not want to see these children in care. Now, I am all for a black child being placed within a black family, because it will actually benefit them more. Okay, to be placed within a black family, it will benefit them a hell of a lot more than being placed within a white family. However, you've got to see it like that. If those are the only parents who are willing, the only potential parents who are willing to step up and take the child, that is what's going to happen. And you cannot complain about it if you don't put yourself forward. Now, I do understand that racism does play a part in why black people do not adopt, because we had to jump through a lot more barriers. However, if more of us pushed ourselves forward, like we have done in the past, to break down barriers, then it should be the same thing here. And another thing to address that a lot of people don't mention is black boys. If you think black children are 3 times less likely to be adopted than white children, black boys are even under that. Now, my friend was telling me that one of the things about black boys is they're typically seen as more difficult. They're seen as more difficult, harder to manage, and all this kind of stuff. So it puts black people off from fostering them. So then black boys, they're left festering in the care system for years on end, and then they come out when they're 18 years old, and then you wonder why. They don't really have, they feel like they don't really have a place in the world. Because I mean, imagine you've been in the care system since you was a little child. You come out at 18 years old, yeah, when social care decides, oh, we've had enough of you now, you're 18, you're on your own, basically. Because the poly isn't even a smooth transition period, yeah, from child to adult services. So where are these black boys expected to go? They've not been fostered, they've not been adopted, they've just been sitting in the care system for just years. Or if they are fostered, they're just going from home to home to home to home to home because apparently they're too difficult to be managed. They just need to be loved. I mean, it sounds like, oh, well, you can't just say that. You're right, I can't just say that. However, a lot of them just need love, and they need stability in their lives, not bouncing them from one foster home to another foster home. because that's damaging to children. It's damaging to children. I mean, imagine you going from one place to another place and you don't get the chance to settle. You don't get the chance to adjust to where you are living. You're just going from here to here to here to here to here, or like that. And then to say that you think black boys are more difficult and the harder to manage, I mean, like, you see, this terminology is always so negative when it comes to black children. The terminology is always so negative. Oh, dark-skinned black women are masculine. Light-skinned black men are feminine. Like, who comes up with these terms? Seriously, who comes up with these terms? I wanna slap ya. But it's just like, black children, they languishing in care because they don't have stability, a loving home to go to. And then the black boys, they're not having anything at all. And it's really, really sad to me to see this, to see black children living in care. And this is why I did my previous video about the black community. It's like, we need to do more to ensure that these black children can actually have a loving home, you know, provide for them if we can. See, me, if I can't have children, I wouldn't mind adopting. Honestly, I wouldn't, if I can't, because surrogacy is expensive. So if I can't have children, like, for my womb, surrogacy may not be on my list. However, I may try adopting, but seriously, we need to do better. Like, black children should not be, I mean, you think it's a poor statistic, 3 times less likely to be adopted compared to white children. You see how racism keeps playing parts in all of this. It's like, from when you're born to when you die, you have a mark on your head. And if you know anything about the Bible and Cain and Abel, it's just madness. But it's really saddening to see black children not have anything. And we can always say these things, you know, like, from a place of luxury. However, you have to put yourselves into their shoes. I mean, imagine if that had been you when you was a child. You didn't have your mum or your dad. You didn't have your grandparents. You had nothing like that. You're just stuck in a foster home, waiting for the next foster home or the next one after that. And it also mentions here, it says the government will launch a major review of social work practices to ensure that black children are not left to languish in the care system, because the emphasis is put on reasons why couple cannot adopt rather than why they can. You know, if you're over a certain age, you're not allowed to adopt. If you're a single parent, you're not allowed to, if you're single, you're not allowed to adopt. Like, is it not better to place a child in a home where they could potentially get love than to say, well, oh, we're not going to place them there because she's single, or we're not going to place him here, we're not going to place him here because she's too old? Like, what is this nonsense? The children are in care for years on end. You would think your priority would be to place a child when there is suitable candidates, instead of dismissing them and saying no. It's foolishness. And he also says, in his speech to delegates at the Tory party conference in Manchester, David Cameron asks why people are flying all over the world to adopt babies, while the care system at home agonises about placing children with white families. This is the thing. This is the thing. Black children need to be adopted by black people. Okay? Let's keep it real. They need to be adopted by black people. And even the Home Office can recognise this. because they know that a child would do better raised within a black family, within a black community, black culture, someone he or she can identify with, rather than being adopted within a white family, when they will struggle to understand what that child will go through. Just because the child is dark skinned, they will struggle to understand that. And they will be coming from a place of privilege. Your privilege does not transfer to anybody in your life if they are an ethnic minority. It does not. Becky, Beckard, it don't transfer to them. Sorry, no, it does not. Unless you have done your research, you will not have a true understanding of what it is like to be a black person. And even with research, you still don't really understand what it's like to be a black person. However, you can attempt to identify. That's what we appreciate. You can attempt to identify with, but you will never actually understand it truly. So this is why it said right there, the Home Office is agonizes about placing black children within white families. It's purely because black children need to be placed, and white people make up majority of the population in the UK. Despite what they think, they still make up most of the numbers. So you talking about genocide? Shut up. Now, black people, please fix up, yeah? Now let me know down below what you feel needs to be done about black children within the care system. And would you be open to adopting? Bye.